All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today, before we get started, we are sporting the Stand Up to Cancer t-shirt because it is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And it's also the month that my daughter beat cancer. So rock on. That's our little plug for the week. Anyway, Cody, tell us what we're talking about today. It's kind of an interesting topic and required a lot of research, surprisingly. What's going on?
Yes. Well, basically, I thought it was interesting. We saw an article come out, some BuzzFeed news, and it said, Andrew Yang keeps winning the internet primary. And I thought that was a really funny headline because we've been watching these debates going on in the last 3 months, him on debates. So he'll frequently be the number one gainer of Twitter followers. We've seen him be the last debate at the very least. He had the largest percentage of gained Twitter followers.
Yeah.
He had the most followers gained per minute spoke. A lot of stuff. He dominated Google Trends, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this actually reminded me of something else he also dominates. That was kind of interesting. And because it's kind of, the question is, why does Andrew Yang keep winning the quote-unquote internet primary, but we're seeing a slower growth in the polls? Steady growth, and honestly, from nowhere to where he is at now, like 3 to 5% is pretty great. However, this was a funny metric. I wanted to bring it up to you, and I wanted to see what you think about this. So, I just pulled it up at random. 3 different instances where there was an event where multiple candidates spoke, and all the candidates show up and they speak, and they'll take the clips or the full speech themselves, put them on YouTube. So, this is from the Iowa AFL-CIO convention. Just a random event, right?
Okay.
And we'll look, and you see candidates like Michael Bennett and Beto O'Rourke, and, a couple hundred people watch these. Like I said, how many people really are interested in watching, even people engaged in politics, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's only 67 views on a couple of these.
I am Joe Biden, 6'10". He's leading the polls, right?
Yeah.
When we get down to Andrew Yang, he had 61,000 views on this video.
I mean,
Again, it's
what a
this
measurable quantifier.
It is, but it's not like, that's a smoking gun. And another one ever. And I could probably pull up 40 of these if I wanted to, or as many they've done, every single one. But again, this was from the New Hampshire Democratic National Convention, or Democratic DNC, Democratic Party Convention. Holy cow, finally got that out. We looked, though, same thing. Elizabeth Warren got a 3-minute standing ovation before she was able to speak. Or not, but you know what I mean? 3 minutes of applause consistently. Okay. And she had 7,000 views on YouTube. You see Andrew Yang, who went last, at 34,000 views. No one else got close. I think Bernie Sanders had 10. But here's the thing, though. I think this is interesting because this doesn't... I think what this might highlight more than anything is how interest on the internet doesn't always translate to necessarily anything else. And then I'll pull again. This is a little bit different, but the New York Times ran a series just talking about who are the candidates. And Andrew Yang had clearly the most views of all of them.
Yeah.
You can go through Beto O'Rourke. We can go through Amy Klobuchar, Cory Booker,
so this
Julian
is my
Castro, Kristen Gillibrand. Actually, Kamala Harris, ironically enough, was the closest one to him. But we see once again another one of these instances where when it comes to people coming online to watch Andrew Yang content, he's at the top. But I wonder when we're going to see, when is he going to start winning the real primary? I guess is more my question in this video. Because I do agree he's winning the internet primary. I think you agree as well. But I wonder when that time comes when he starts actually winning the real primary.
Yeah, by the way, I like how his face is right by our face on OBS right now, so it kind of looks like he's participating in the conversation. But anyway, this has always been a question with me that I think we may not know until Election Day. And I don't know if you remember this, but there were some states where the people felt the burn on social media, on Twitter polls, on the streets with signs, at the rallies showing up, trying to interrupt Trump rallies with Feel the Burn signs. I mean, there was all kinds of enthusiasm that you thought would just translate to utter victory for Bernie Sanders in 2016. And he would just come in so low when the voting actually happened that people were sitting there asking themselves, like, well, what's the problem? We had such enthusiasm amongst the young, but the young don't vote. And some of those old stereotypes, just were so completely proven true. I wonder, is the Yang gang, like, there's one of two things going on.
Well, hold on.
Let me finish this. Either Andrew Yang is pulling a Donald Trump, and while the internet polls are saying he's winning and the scientific polls are saying he's losing, he's actually winning, or he's pulling a Bernie Sanders, where while the internet polls say he's winning and the scientific polls say he's losing, he's actually kind of losing. And I really don't know 100% how to interpret that data. And don't think that that makes us lesser analysts either, by the way, because the only difference between us and the people that sat at those roundtables on CNN is we're humble enough to recognize that we do not know and you cannot know. You think you can?
Hold on. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's not the full story, though. It's not that simple.
Yeah, you're right.
Because at the same time, we could take a look at this. And, man, like, I think there's also a narrative that Andrew Yang that kind of is easy to get put around in the media. He's actually not doing as well as he actually is because, yeah, he's not talked about as much. This is from an Axios study they did recently. Sorry. But you look, and he's polling above, like, most of the candidates people talk about. Like we said before, he's the one everyone tweets about during and after the debates. He's the one who gains all the Twitter followers, who's always being the most searched on Google, all this stuff. And I think it does matter. It does show up. I think the larger question actually is here. I think what's starting to become the real outlier to me is the polls, looking at this stuff.
Okay.
Looking at the fact it's like, because, dude, like, you could say it's just a number, but I mean, like, 34,000 people watch him speak, and then you look at, like, the next, like, front runner, and it's 7.4. Pull up another one. Like I said, this AFL-CIO convention. How many people know that happened? Well, 61,000 people watched Andrew Yang speak there. You know, no offense to Miss Warren, 1.2. Shout out to Sean Delaney, 147. Warren, I guess, got another video with 1,000 views, but that stuff, the number difference is so great. And we see so much more interest and so much more enthusiasm online. I have to ask, because here's the other thing. The polls are also frequently wrong. In the last, I think they just had polls that came out like in the, whatever the last election was, whatever special election or whatever they had to do. I guarantee you polls are wrong. They've been wrong the last like 3 years, 4 years straight on everything.
Yeah.
So is that what we're seeing? The polls are wrong. What?
Aren't you literally asking what I just asked?
No, a little. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if it's a matter of young people not voting. Well, I think it's a matter of maybe the polls actually aren't keeping up with where the people are. That's why I think because again, this is one metric, but I could pull up 5 or 6 more if I wanted to. Like, there is a bunch of them where you could see where Andrew Yang in particular, but other candidates fall into this mold as well. I mean, I want to highlight one of the interesting things about that Axios study they did. If you look, I mean, you can look at other candidates, like I think, for example, is another good one where, like, Tulsi Gabbard isn't polling. She's beating a lot of people who get talked about more than her. She's talked about about as much as Andrew Yang, even though she's beating a lot of people.
She's not even showing up on the debate stages yet. She's above some of the people that are.
She in early stage, she polls well. So there's a lot of candidates that fall into this mold where there's a lot of people that like them, there's enthusiasm for them, their ideas are resonating, but we're just not seeing it factor in really one metric. It's getting to the point where it really is like one metric. It's the polls. Every other metric, we're seeing actual big growth from these people, and the only metric it's not moving is the polls. I think at a certain point it does become a little interesting. Like, the real question in 2020, what does it mean to win the internet primary? And then we're going to find out, right? We're going to can that carry you to the real primary? Or, like you said, will it be like Bernie Sanders, I guess, where
and it's the ultimate.
Well, also, does the DNC conspire against him is the other question.
Yeah, well, it is the ultimate test of the internet generation and the internet itself, because 2016 with Donald Trump was the first time that really the internet, especially Twitter and Donald Trump's Twitter feed, and the MAGA gang, whatever you want to call them, it was the first time that they really interrupted politics. I mean, the internet interrupted every single business and turned worldwide economies on their heads. I mean, Craigslist single-handedly decimated the local newspaper industry when it absolutely decimated classifieds. Why pay the $15 for a week-long classified to sell your car when you can list it on Craigslist with pictures for free? Okay? And that just absolutely ruined the money-making classified section of the newspaper, and then forced hundreds of thousands of local newspapers and journalists out of business, right? So one of the first industries hit by the internet was obviously email. Now all of a sudden you don't need to be sending physical letters. And then second, classifieds. And then just boom, industry after industry after industry after industry was just completely interrupted down the line. And the last industry to get hit, though, probably because we only think of it in 4-year cycles for presidents, 2 and 2-year cycles for local elected officials, maximum 1-year cycles for hyper local elected officials. The last industry that was interrupted was politics. I mean, all of the games you used to play in 1999 were the games that you played in 2010 or 2009. It wasn't really interrupted until Donald Trump changed the game with his Twitter feed then. And we did see how Bernie Sanders' youth didn't translate into actual votes. And so I'm really curious what internet fervor will translate to at the physical ballot box. That transition is what is really getting put to the test. Does the Yang Gang's cool anime intros translate into people wanting to vote for the guy on November 4th? I don't know. Am I wrong?
No. Like I said, I think it's an interesting question. I think you actually brought up a really good point. That I think that is kind of what we are seeing a little bit here, where we're seeing this question of. I almost want to say we can almost throw out everything like that Donald Trump did in 2016. Like, I think he's enough of an outlier where you could say that was weird and that happened. But
you think so though?
A lot of it, not all.
Well, yes, because he had like 94% name recognition in America before he started, so his celebrity had a lot to do with it also.
Oh, exactly. That's my larger point. That it was just a really weird thing. However, one thing I do think is interesting is, like I said, is it going to be important? We've been talking about this. Who wins that, proverbial meme? Or who wins Twitter? Who wins that generation? Because here's the other thing, too. Maybe they don't vote, but maybe they sit on their computer and work harder for you on the internet, pushing your idea and pushing you for president than people you pay. You know what I mean? That's the other inverse. Like,
how much is that anime intro worth?
Oh, exactly. We're gonna do another separate video on that one. That one's awesome.
Yeah.
But exactly, something like that is worth a lot of money, and you get them for free from people. And they, the idea is maybe they don't show up on the polls that day and vote. Maybe they motivate 5 people instead. So maybe they were worth 5 voters instead of 1. Maybe that's what winning the internet, maybe that's what it means to win the internet primary, right? Maybe you don't get the voters today, but you get the people that are going to fight for you until the end of the election. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know what it means yet, to be frank. It is a little bit too early.
Well, I'll tell you this.
This
is just my theory where old sales, marketing, and tried and true business strategy meets Zoomer internet theory. Okay? It's been proven time and time again that branding is one of the most important things that a corporation or a business can do, where oftentimes you'll just see lots of Coca-Cola commercials that don't actually have a specific call to action. They don't say, buy a Coke today, register for this giveaway today, go to this location today. No, they're just kind of like these happy-go-lucky commercials about how, look at all these beautiful people, how they drink Coke, and look at how these beautiful people that do nice things for elderly folks have Cokes in their hand, and look at how these people that are young and fell in love by seeing each other in a park both had a Coke in their hand. That's called branding. And it's generally been scientifically proven that a person, a future consumer, needs to see 7 instances of branding before they'll feel comfortable enough to do a call to action. So they'll need to see 7 of those Coca-Cola commercials before they feel comfortable enough to go buy a 99-cent Coke when a commercial comes along that says, hey, we've invented a new flavor, vanilla cream Coke, try it today. They won't try it today until they've seen 7 of those commercials that have made them feel comfortable enough with the Coke brand. So Andrew Yang is farming right now. He's planting seeds. He is branding. And the Yang Gang is branding him as what? The cool guy who's running with his arms behind him in the anime intro, okay? As the cool guy that's dancing along with the people in the rec center. As the cool guy that ends up doing the crowd surfing in the lobby of the AAPI while Tom Steyer's actually trying to sell out in the on the stage inside, They're representing him as the cool, he doesn't like the term futurist, but the cool presentist candidate of the future who's the only visionary that sees that the robots are coming. Okay, so he's a mixture of old school Paul Revere, okay, and modern Elon Musk, all mashed together in this cool Asian candidacy for president. Okay, so that right there is the question. Will the branding, will all of this work that Andrew Yang is putting in convert to a call to action? Are all of these subs that he's getting on YouTube? Are all of these follows he's getting on Twitter? Are all of these fans he's getting on Instagram, on Facebook, on social media, okay, going to see enough of his content before November 4th that when the call to action to show up on voting day, I am Andrew Yang, I approve this message, go to the polls and vote for me on November 4th. Will that branding and those minimum 7 impressive, cool, fast-paced, positive pieces of media convert into a vote? And what proportion will it convert at? If he has 10,000 followers, will 10,000 of them show up? 9,000, 8,000, 7,000, 6,000, 5,000? Whatever. Okay? That is my big question, and ultimately an indictment or an appraisal of the value of the internet. Will it be worth going after all of these young people, or should we just settle back into 1990s politics where you try and convince all the baby boomers because they show up at like 95% voting while the youth only show up at like 25 or 30% in some demographics? That's the big question.
Yeah. I think there's more to it than that. I think that's a great point, though. The idea, I think you had a great point with maybe that is what we're seeing. Right now they're watching the videos on YouTube. They're searching for him on Google. They're following him on Twitter, but they're not actually like, do I really? But then maybe the 7th or 8th or 9th time they do it, then you ask them and they say, you know what? I do actually support this guy for president. And maybe that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that phase in the middle where people, they're interested, they're seeing it, they're hearing it, but what they're not doing is they aren't saying, I'm going to support him for president just yet. But maybe the 9th time they watch an Andrew Yang video, full speech at some random conference, they're like, okay, you know what? I guess I will vote for this guy.
Well, also people...
That's a good point, Matt. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, people might be kind of interested enough in him to say, oh, this guy's got some interesting ideas. I'll follow him. But it may not be until November kicks around. I mean, I have to take off November 4th from work. I'm really happy Andrew Yang says that Election Day needs to be a national holiday, all right? Because I already have to plan ahead, because since I am known in my family and amongst my friends and in my community as that guy that follows politics, starting at about 11 a.m. in the morning, a couple of hours after the polls open, because the responsible people go in the morning, right? And the responsible people already have their own formed opinions. But everybody else that's going like during lunch hour and later, you know, my phone rings off the hook. I can't work that day because I get nothing but phone calls from people from church, from people from high school, from people that are customers of mine. Hey, Cardin, yeah, I know you're like really into politics and stuff like that. You know, usually I'm kind of like a Democrat, but I don't know about this guy. Like, who should I vote for? Who should I vote for? Who should I vote for? You know, I'll get everything from hardcore Republicans that aren't sure if the Libertarian is worth it to, you know, like hardcore lefty hippies at my kids' organic preschool, you know what I'm saying? Saying, hey, Cardin, so what do you think about so-and-so? Like, is he a faker or is he real? You know? And that's when people start tuning in. So another question is, how delayed is the reaction of all of these subs? He may not be noticing results right away, just like you don't notice results for months after you plant. A farmer, if he were to plant and then the next day go out and look and say, okay, where are my plants at? He's going to be grossly disappointed. If he waits a week or a month, he might come out to his field and see nothing and still be grossly disappointed. Yeah, all of a sudden, boom, he comes out at the right week and they've shot up 2 feet. Okay, so when it comes to politics, it's not much different than advertising or marketing or public affairs. There's this growth period of marketing that's just called branding, and you don't know when it, quote, kicks in. And I don't think we know. I don't think Andrew Yang knows. It's a big test of this new battlefield, because only really in the past 2 major presidential election cycles have we had the internet being as big a player as it is right now. So that's my commentary. I let it rest right there. I think it's a big fat I don't know. Yes, he keeps winning the internet primary. I think that's a fair headline, but I don't know how that translates. Therefore, I don't know what kind of emotional energy to put in that headline.
Well, maybe like you said, maybe the internet primary happens basically every single day on Twitter. It restarts, and maybe he wins that enough times and he wins people over. Like you said, maybe 9 or 10 times it takes, but that could be the answer. Because I do think it's interesting. Like I said, we can look. And again, just because somebody watched the video on YouTube doesn't mean they're going to vote for him for president. But like I said, if you find yourself watching Andrew Yang, AFL-CIO Iowa speeches
Yeah.
on a regular basis, you might have to admit you like the guy in some level at some
Yeah.
point. You know, when you're getting in there, that's why I wanted to bring up like the deep cuts, not the climate change town hall on CNN that was nationally broadcast, like the stuff that very few people saw. When you're winning that, you have some interest. So
Yeah.
again, maybe you're right. Maybe like I said, you have to win that battle 9 times, 10 times, 11 times, and then when we get to the real primary, people will say, I guess I do support this Yang guy. It's a good point.
Yeah. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. How the internet fervor translates at the ballot box, or how you think it will translate. Please comment below. We still try and read all of the comments and reply when we can. If you like to contribute to the channel, please check out the PayPal link in the description below. If you guys want to join us on Discord, every once in a while we have voice chats with all of our fans, and it's really fun, so check us out on Discord. If you haven't followed us yet on Twitter, please follow us on Twitter, because we announce a lot of what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be going on Twitter. And if you want to buy one of the Problem Solver Politics hats, make sure you check us out at problemsolverpolitics.com, where you can get one just like the one I'm wearing right here. This is Problem Solver Politics. We will see you guys in the next video.